Alright, so, it took me a little bit to find what game I decided to do next. And if you guys follow my Instagram, and that, you guys will know what game I'm talking about. So, let's just get into this, and I'm going to start talking about this game. G'day you cheeky wombat. And what the hell was I doing with my hands there? G'day you cheeky wombats. My name is TJ and welcome to Trash or Scratch It, the show where I see if a game is good enough to scratch or whether it deserves the trash. This game is called Infamous, and I think it's time to talk about the story and just tell you guys what the hell this game is all about. But first, let me give you a brief little history about why this game came to be.
After the success of Sly Cooper 3, Sucker Punch Studio took a different approach from stealth-based gameplay to a more action-packed comic book-inspired game. And ladies and gentlemen, welcome to a game called Infamous, an action-adventure platformer where you play as a normal bike career named Cole McGrath.
Until he accidentally opens up this package and activates this orb-shaped thing called the Ray Sphere. The device explodes and brings chaos to Empire City, which is basically the version of New York City. So, what are we waiting for? Let's get into this, shall we?
So the start of the game is really cool. The title screen asks you to press start to, start the game. And when that happens, a big explosion happens. People screaming and running in a panic. A few moments later, we find a guy laying in the center of a blast crater. He wakes up confused and goes through a crumbling parking lot.
So, in case you didn't figure it out, he's the main character in this game. And, well, among the PlayStation exclusive hero roster, he's a special case. And I'll tell you why in just a little bit.
And now, we're greeted with a cutscene. And well, can I just say, I love the cutscenes. Just because of the art style and the narration, because Cole is telling his story as the story unfolds. And this is where the game shows why it was different from most games back when it was released. So, the cutscene is just Cole getting used to his new powers and while explaining what happened while he was out. So basically, Empire City went all to hell. A deadly virus is killing people, there's a lot of robberies, and a lot more bad stuff happened. So the first thing we do is find Zeke's gun under a car and then head out towards a supply drop. But it's high up, and since we are the only person that can climb up there and get it down, we do just that. And then, in an instant, we are introduced to the first group of enemies, the Reapers. Just your basic group of thugs that now own the Neon District, which is where we are now. So we beat them, and then some footage from that day when the blast went off shows Cole holding a Ray Sphere when it exploded.
And now, we're terrorists. Yeah. That's right. Terrorists.
Boy, that escalated quickly. I mean, that really got out of hand fast.
So we try to escape the city by the only bridge that goes out of the city, but no, it's not that easy, I'm afraid. After all of the slaughter and escaping the machine gun-filled wall, we are confronted by a person named Moya, or Moi Moi as I like to call her. She asks us to find her husband John, who went missing after the blast.
So I'm not going to talk about every single main mission that we're going to do because there's around 40 main story missions that you have to complete. But for the moment, I'm going to be talking about the controls. You see, I use my Razer Raiju PlayStation controller and the game held up really well with the response time actually with the controller. In fact, I think it played so much better than the DualShock 3 controller. And yeah, there is climbing in this game, and what's it like? It's pretty good, actually. I mean, don't get me wrong, the climbing in this game makes the climbing... Okay. I mean, don't get me wrong, guys. The climbing... don't get me wrong, guys. The climbing in this game, it makes the Assassin's Creed game... I mean, don't get me wrong, guys. The climbing in this game makes the climbing... I mean, don't get me wrong. The climbing... I mean, don't get me wrong. The climbing in this game, compared to the climbing mechanics in the Assassin's Creed game... I mean, don't get me wrong. The climbing in this game, compared to the climbing mechanics in the Assassin's Creed games, is just better. It's just better. Trust me on that. But there is one flaw to it. For some reason, Cole automatically locks onto a ledge. And basically, if you want to glide, or just jump to the left or right, or just even try to drop down, he doesn't go where you want him to go. In fact, he automatically locks onto the nearest ledge and then just either hangs or just lands on it. Like, yeah. But yeah, when you're climbing like a big tower, it sort of ruins the moment. Just like Cole ruined Empire City like the bald swine he is. But yeah, apart from that, the controls and the climbing are pretty good for a 2009 game. So let's continue, shall we?
So, Moi Moi lost one of her contacts, and, well, we have the ability to see the echoes of someone. The echo leads us to a power station, and then we meet a Kamikaze Reaper who blows it up. So now, it's our job to go down into the sewers and reconnect the transformer, which has a main purpose.
Which I'll explain what they do soon.
And re-establish the substation, and this is how you unlock the city, by reconnecting substations in blacked out areas. Okay, so next part. And we find out that a fountain has been releasing this black ooze, making people sick, and here we find Trish, Cole's ex, who...
What are you doing here?
...isn't too happy to see him, but we have to shut off the fountain by turning off this valve, and then... wow. Black ooze to the face. And we are introduced to the first boss of the game, Sasha, who is the leader of the Reapers. Trish helps us even though she...
What are you doing here?
...hates our guts. And we have to turn off 3 more valves and voila, the mission is done. Alrighty now. Skip a few missions. And here it's the same deal but with the water towers. After we finish the mission, a mysterious man appears and a cutscene begins, showing us destruction and carnage in the future. This delightful man is known as Kessler, and he's the main villain of the game, believe it or not. We head off to face Sasha, and well, as first bosses go, if you haven't played this game before, you're going to find it a little hard, but for veterans, the boss fight is not that bad. So, another cutscene, and Sasha gets taken away by some trained gunmen, and with no way back to the Neon District, we head into the Warren.
So before I talk about why this game was completely different compared to most of the games back when it was released, I'm going to talk about some other features of the game. For instance, the collectibles are everywhere. You have blast shards, which you have to collect in order to increase your power / energy meter. And let me tell you, there's a lot. There is a lot of them. So, in order for you to platinum this game, for one of the trophies, if I remember right, you have to collect all 350 blast shards that are scattered throughout all of Empire City. It sounds easy, right? No, it's really not. You see, when you collect around 300 of them, they show up less and less on the map. And when you activate your radar, which basically, if you're going to go for this trophy, you're going to use a lot. Trust me, a lot. And when you get to around 50 more you have to collect, you're going to have a hard and long time trying to find them. Just basically because the fact is that the map is big and, well, you have to run around the city just trying to find those blue dots on your map. It is that frustrating and that long. There are also these things called dead drops, which are collectibles as well, and you can get them by finding satellites on top of rooftops. And then there's finally stunts. Now, again, if you are going for the platinum in this game, there is a trophy that you will need to get for doing all of the stunts. And let me tell you, the stunts are not easy to do. I mean, half of them are, but the rest of them are just completely luck-based. And here's a word of advice, since I platinumed this game when I was younger. Don't do none of the side missions and unlock territories, because otherwise the enemies will be scarce for you to do the freaking stunts. Okay? Now, I'm going to explain what side missions and territories are just a bit later on in this video, so just bear with. Okay, now, back to the story.
Skipping a few more missions, we have to reconnect the bridge that connects the Neon District and the Warren, which is just backtracking galore. And our next mission, and then we have to save Zeke from the Duskman.
Cole? Are you okay there?
So we save Zeke like he is, and then a few more missions later we have to help Trish protect a bus full of patients while it makes its way to the hospital in the Warren. When we successfully protect the bus, we get introduced to the second boss of the game, Holden, who can lift things with his mind because he's a conduit like Cole.
If you don't know what a conduit is, it's basically a human with powers. Okay then.
So he flees, because of course he does, and now after doing more missions we have to find and capture him. So we head into the Dustman's lair and fight our way through. And wait.
What the hell is that?
It just looks like a more buffed up version of that thing you fight in Lilo and Stitch. So we beat him and it turns out Holden has been captured. Yay! And now we come to one of the best missions in the whole game. We have to fend off the Dustman from breaking Holden out, and there's 3 stages to this level. The first stage, we have to stop an assault on the eastern wall, and when we stop the assault, some of the Dustmen manage to shut off the power to the prison, and we need to hurry because of the machine that's keeping Holden asleep. We take them down, and now for the final stage, it's a full frontal assault on the southern wall, and this time it gets good, because basically nearly every single Dustman attacks, and a few of the golem things, which makes it a little difficult, and every time I play this mission I do almost manage to die a couple of times. After that, Holden escapes because Zeke failed to watch. So, next mission, and we get contacted by John. Well, it's about time you come into this story, John! He tells us to meet him at a secret location, and when we get there, he's nowhere to be found. Typical. And we have to chase a helicopter that's tracking to where he is. We take out another golem and he's gone. Turns out our good friend the Moi Moi is playing us because John is not her husband.
How dare she?
John contacts us and tells us that Holden has been seen with the Ray Sphere on top of his massive tower. So what do? We call Zeke and climb to the top. We fight for control of the Ray Sphere and then Kessler shows up. With the Ray Sphere now in the hands of Zeke, he hesitates to give it to Cole and then activates it, collapsing the tower in the process, killing a lot of people down on the street. Holden escapes onto the bridge that connects the historic district to the Warren. Feeling betrayed and angry, Cole chases after Holden and finally confronts him.
Holy shit.
Yeah, Cole, you got that right.
The boss fight isn't too hard. Just shoot the face through 3 phases and then he's beaten. So now we finally get Holden, but he throws himself off the bridge. And now here we are, nearing the end of the game as we head into the historic district.
So, I should talk about the side missions in this game, and yes. I know I'm delaying the main part as to why this game was so special back in the day, but I'm getting there, okay? I'm getting there slowly. But just hear me out, okay? This is the last thing I want to talk about before I actually explain to you guys the major aspect of this game. So per district, you have territories to take over. And how you take over them, you have to complete side missions, which basically unlocks part of that district. And what that means is, apart from earning XP, that part of territory that you take over, no enemies will spawn there for you whatsoever. And it's completely all optional. But if you're playing on a hard difficulty, then it makes it a lot less easier for you to get around the district. So yeah, let's get into the last part of the game story.
So the little first mission we get in this district is to stop a number of bombs with enemies that can now grow huge. After we do that, Kessler gives us a choice to whether save a bunch of doctors who can help and save many people, or save Trish. Now, I can finally talk about the main mechanic or feature of this amazing game.
Yep, it's time, and here you go. I'm just going to put my controller down here for a second, just to talk about this. If you guys have been watching this video all the way through so far, you might have noticed a red and a blue meter in the top left-hand corner where your power meter is. That's called your karma meter or your morality meter, whichever one you want to go for. You see, the main mechanic of this whole game is based around choice. That's right, you can decide Cole's fate as to whether or not he saves Empire City or he rules it. All the way through the game, you will have choices that you will have to make, and whatever choice you pick, whether it's good or bad, that will decide Cole's destiny for the rest of the game. And whatever choice you go with, whether it be good or evil, whatever side you picked, good or evil, will decide how the cutscenes will change throughout the entire game, how people will respond and treat you as you're roaming the city, and basically just how the ending goes as well. So, yeah, it's pretty cool, right?
So, yeah, because I chose the good karma throughout this video, I went with saving the doctors, but I failed to save Trish! So now, on a revenge path to kill the man who killed your girlfriend, your next mission takes us to stop Kessler's air balloons from releasing a toxin that would wipe out the entire city. So we stopped that weird man's plans, it rhymes, and then we team up with John to find the ray sphere, and it turns out it's at the end of a heavily guarded pier. Here is where the biggest choice you have in the entire game comes into play. You can choose to either destroy it or to absorb it again, giving you twice as much power than before. But because I'm a goody two-shoes, I picked to destroy it, and when I did, the ray sphere exploded and took John along with it. So now final mission, and this time we take down Kessler. Finally! So now, here we are. Me versus Kessler. And, well, the fight isn't too bad. If you know when to hit him, he's really easy, but this boss fight is the hardest one out of the whole game, so yeah. I guess I'm just too good.
And to sum this whole game up, just watch this clip.
I looked down at Kessler, reveling in my victory. And then I heard him whisper, "Trish, I love you. Please forgive me." Then he was on me, fingers digging into my face. As Kessler's secrets played out in my head, I finally began to understand. I saw his nemesis, a beast intent on extinguishing all life. In those early days, Kessler could have used his powers to stop it, but instead he fled with his family, leaving others to fend for themselves. Hunted for years, Kessler and his family watched as the rest of the world went to hell. And then it was too late. Too late to fight. Too late to save anyone. In that moment of failure and grief, he used his newest and most dangerous power. He went on a one-way trip back in time, attempting to rewrite history. Kessler seized control of the First Sons and accelerated the ray sphere's development. Decades spent plotting the blast, organizing the quarantine, finding me. Yet the thing that drove him forward, Kessler's sole link to the past, was a picture from his wedding day, when he married Trish, with Zeke as his best man. My brain lurched, unable to accept that Kessler and I were the same person. That he'd come back in time to mold me into the savior he failed to be, going so far as to kill the woman he loved, I loved, so that I wouldn't be tied down by emotions. No, Kessler wanted me strong, ruthless, so that when I faced the beast, I'd be capable of making impossible decisions, all for the common good. And then Kessler fell back, dead. His final message, my final message, burned into my brain. I take one last look down at myself, my future self, and turn away, the rage curdling inside. I hate everything about Kessler, but when the time comes, I will be ready.
Surprised? I know I was when I finished this game. Such a plot twist day for the end of the game, but the story doesn't end there. It continues on in the second game, which I'm going to do for another day. There you have it. That was Infamous, and just a few points I want to talk about before I actually end this video. The first point is the music, and well, it's all right. I mean, this one and the second game's soundtrack wasn't too bad, but the best one out of the franchise had to be Second Son's soundtrack by far. And I would give you a preview of some of the tracks, but I've already implemented some of them in the video already, so yeah. If you do want to listen to the soundtrack, it's on iTunes, Spotify, or the Play Store. The second point I want to talk about is the story, and yes, I know I skipped out on a lot, and believe me, I tried my damned hardest just to fit all of the story in without wasting time with just talking about all of the 40 missions that you had to actually do. And I apologize for that as well. And the third point I want to talk about are the powers and the abilities that you get in the game, which, yes, I will talk about right now. I'm just going to put the controller down for a second. All of your abilities and powers are, I will say what they are right now. So you get your Lightning Strike, you get your Shockwave, you get your Thunder Drop, Megawatt Hammer, your Shock Grenade, you get your Karma Touch, Polarity Wall, and finally you get your Lightning Storm. And all of them are handy and powerful, just as long as you continue to upgrade them. And how you upgrade them, after each side mission or main mission, you get experience, as I talked about before. And you use experience to basically upgrade all of your powers to make them stronger. And basically, once you get them all upgraded to max, which is only 3, which you can actually upgrade them to anyway, they become extremely handy and really OP throughout the whole game, and you can just basically just breeze through the game as well. This game is such an awesome starter to the Infamous series that I cannot thank and love it enough. Cutscenes are comic styled, and yes, the game is like a dark themed comic book style story. And yes, this game is outdated, but in my defense, it still holds up pretty good after 9 years of actually being out. So today, Infamous gets scratched. So, and remember, you lovely people, please subscribe and like the video, and also please share it as well with your parents, your friends, I don't know, grandma, I don't know, just share it around, because it'll really help me out a lot, guys. And I plan to keep this series going for a long time, and I'm going to try my hardest to give you guys the best entertainment from these episodes that I can. And yes, I stutter, but you know, that's just part of who I am. So yeah, until the next episode, take care, guys, stay safe, and yeah, just get struck by lightning, I guess. I don't know.